Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Ever feel like kind of trapped, like by
Yeah.
obligations, just going through the motions?
Yeah.
What if that feeling, that trapped feeling, was like built into the fabric of your world?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's the unsettling premise of The Hidden Face
Okay.
by M.I. Verras.
I've heard of
It's
this.
a sci-fi slash fantasy mystery that we're diving into today.
Awesome.
So if you're into stories that make you question everything, the big questions, hit that like button, subscribe.
Definitely.
You can find the Amazon link to the book down in the episode description.
It's a wild ride. It really explores identity, power, all that, and the price of hidden truths. Varys really just throws you into this world
Yeah.
called the Central Hearth,
The Central Hearth.
which at first it seems like a utopia, right?
Yeah.
Self-sustaining, beautifully structured. But as you go deeper, you start to realize that all this order comes at a pretty chilling cost.
Ooh. Okay, so let's talk about Marquise, our
Yeah.
main character. She has this incredible ability to borrow identities,
Right.
almost like slipping into different skins.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
that's how she gets into the Central Hearth.
Interesting.
It's such a cool concept. Imagine having that power. What would you do with it?
Oh man, so many things. What's really interesting about Marquise is that she's not just using this ability, this identity borrowing for herself. She's drawn to the Central Hearth to investigate.
Investigate.
Yeah, and maybe expose some potential injustices.
Mm.
She feels like something's off, and she's determined to uncover the truth, even if it puts her in danger.
Oh, wow. And the Central Hearth definitely has its share of secrets.
Yeah.
On the surface, it's idyllic, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Verras describes this amazing architecture, a sense of community, a clear purpose for everyone. But then you learn about this weird duty that all the inhabitants have to do.
Oh yeah, the duty.
This climbing to the rooftop to activate some mysterious generator that powers the whole community.
It's almost like a ritual sacrifice, right? And the way Verras describes the transfer process for those who have completed their duty, it's, well, intentionally vague,
Uh-huh.
shrouded in secrecy. It's so smart how she builds that suspense,
Wow.
creates this underlying sense of unease.
You just know something's not right. Then there's Francis, Marquise's partner, in this whole duty thing. He uses crutches because of a leg injury, and he's so wary of everyone.
Right.
Which, well, makes sense when we learn about his past.
Oh, right.
With the blackmailers.
Yeah, poor guy.
He obviously doesn't trust easily,
Mm-hmm.
especially in this place where secrets are everywhere.
Francis is such a well-developed character. He's so closed off at first. It's a total contrast to Marquise, right? She's more curious, outgoing.
Yeah.
But as they spend time together, they start to bond. Facing these challenges, a real, genuine connection forms.
And it's through their interactions that we start to see, like, the cracks in the Central Hearth's perfect facade, especially during that creepy rooftop incident,
Oh, man, that scene.
where that hooded figure tries to kill Francis by, like, throwing him into the generator well.
Intense.
It changes everything, the whole tone of the story.
That scene is pivotal, not just for the plot, but for what it reveals about, the power in the Central Hearth. This violence, it shatters that whole illusion of safety, of order. It suggests that, to keep this perfect society going, they need to take some brutal measures.
Yeah, like getting rid of people who aren't useful.
Exactly.
It's terrifying. Marquise saves Francis, but the attacker gets away through a hidden trap door.
Mm-hmm.
And then they find Evelyn's things just abandoned.
Francis's previous partner.
Right, adding another layer to all these mysterious transfers.
It's like Verras is leaving clues, leading us somewhere darker. We're left wondering what happens to those who are transferred and who's behind this whole murder attempt.
So many questions. And then we get to the assembly hall meeting, where all the ministers, the supposed leaders of this community, are gathered in secret. This is where everything takes a really dark turn.
Oh.
We find out the ministers know. They know they're sacrificing people by throwing them into the generator well.
No way.
It's a horrible realization.
It really flips everything on its head. We, like Marquise, think these ministers are, good leaders, working for the good of everyone. But then Verras shows us the truth.
They're all part of this system of manipulation and death.
It's chilling.
And then, to make matters worse, we find out that Damien, who seemed so kind and helpful, he's a minister, involved in all of this.
Damien's character is so complex. He really shows the moral struggles of this world. We discover that he's been throwing people into the generator well to save his own brother.
Emmanuel? Right.
Yeah. Emmanuel was condemned to death.
It's such a tough situation.
Mm.
To betray what you believe in to protect someone you love makes you wonder how far we'd go for the people we care about, even if it means compromising our values.
Absolutely. And then there's Sot, this mysterious leader of the ministers. We don't really know his motives, but he's always there, looming over everything.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a bigger, more sinister power structure at play.
So we have this unsettling mystery building, and then Verras takes us on this journey into the abyss,
The abyss.
the fiery underworld, where the victims of the generator will end up. It's visually stunning and totally terrifying.
Wow.
The descriptions of this giant scorching chasm are so vivid, and the imagery of these condemned ministers chained and suffering in this fiery hell, it's just, wow.
So it's not just a physical journey, right? It's a symbol of the dark underbelly of the Central Hearth. The consequences of this perfect order. It forces us to see the horrors hidden beneath the surface.
And we meet Emmanuel in this fiery underworld.
Right.
It's a powerful moment when the brothers reunite. In the middle of all this chaos and suffering, we learn that Emmanuel was imprisoned for speaking out against the Central Hearth.
Adding another layer to Damien's reasons.
Totally. Emmanuel represents dissent, the person who dares to challenge the way things are. And his reunion with Damien, it highlights the tragic consequences of their choices.
The sacrifices they've both made.
Right. Their story is so sad, especially when Emmanuel makes the ultimate sacrifice, staying in the abyss so that Marquise and Francis can escape. Through this hidden white gate, he knows it's their only chance to expose what's happening and maybe break this cycle of manipulation and death.
That's a powerful sacrifice. It shows how much Emmanuel believes in justice, to give up his life for something bigger.
It makes you wonder, can his sacrifice really make a difference? Can the Central Hearth be redeemed?
Good question.
And then there's that escape through the white gate,
Right.
this portal back to home, which we understand is another dimension entirely. The imagery of those white flames guarding the gate is amazing.
White flames.
Yeah, they seem to represent some purifying force. We see it literally with Francis. His leg gets miraculously healed as he goes through the flame.
Oh, yeah.
But it also speaks to this idea of, like, spiritual cleansing, shedding those imperfections, past traumas.
I like that.
Even though they escape, there's still this feeling of unfinished business. They've seen the horrors of the Central Hearth, the abyss.
They carry that knowledge with them.
And it's clear their journey isn't over. They have to find a way to make things right, to expose the truth and bring justice.
It's a heavy burden.
It is.
It really does. And that sense of unfinished business, you
Right.
know, it drives the story forward. It's not just about escaping
Yeah.
from the Central Hearth and the abyss. It's about, like, confronting those deeper issues, the ones that allow a place like that to even exist.
Like they can't just ignore what they saw.
Right, exactly. And that brings us to, well, the final confrontation, Emmanuel and Sight, where Emmanuel, he uses his power to destroy Sight. It's so tense, these two forces clashing right in the heart of the abyss.
Wow.
This is where the abyss becomes, like, even more important, symbolically, I mean.
How so?
It's not just a place of punishment. It's where good and evil fight it out, a crucible, where destinies are, like, forged.
Intense.
Emmanuel's choice to stay behind, to face Sate, it says a lot about him. He's not just fighting for himself or his brother. He's fighting for, like, the very soul of the Central Hearth.
It's a powerful moment of defiance.
Absolutely.
It shows that even facing unbelievable cruelty, there's still hope, resistance. And in the end, Emmanuel's sacrifice, it frees all those souls trapped in the abyss, breaks Set's control.
Which brings us to the end of this incredible story. But as we've said, it's not a simple ending. Verras leaves us with all these questions, you know,
Yeah.
about the future of the Central Hearth, the possibility of change, and whether Sate's influence is really gone for good.
Right. It's like Verras is saying that, okay, the immediate danger is over, but the real problems, the deeper ones, those are still there.
Exactly.
Can they really break this cycle of manipulation? What happens to the Central Hearth now? Everyone knows its secrets.
It makes you think, right? About our own world.
It does.
Are there systems like that here too?
That's a big question. These questions, they stay with you even after you finish the book. They make you think about power, about why people conform, and our responsibility to speak out against injustice.
And they remind us that even in these seemingly perfect societies, these utopias, there are always hidden costs, sacrifices happening, and often it's the most vulnerable who pay the price.
That's a heavy thought. But the book, it also gives us hope. It reminds us that even small acts of resistance matter.
That's so important.
They can make a difference.
Absolutely. It shows us that we, as individuals, we have the power to challenge things, to expose the truth, and to fight for a better world.
A more just world.
Yes.
So, for those of you listening who have read The Hidden Face, what really stood out to you? Was there a moment, a character that really resonated? Tell us in the comments. We want to hear what you think.
And for those who haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it. It's such a thought-provoking book. It'll stay with you long after you finish the last page.
Okay, before we go, let's leave you with a final thought. We've talked about the character struggles in the Central Hearth, the Abyss. But what about the effects of these events on our world?
Yep.
Do you think there are similar systems at play in our society? Power, manipulation, and if so, how can we resist them?
It's a really important question to think about.
It is.
We see dystopian stories as warnings, right?
Yeah.
Like glimpses into a future we don't want. But what if those dystopian elements, what if they're already here, just hidden?
That's a chilling thought. But it's also a call to action. The Hidden Face reminds us to think critically, to question authority, to challenge the way things are, and to fight for a world where everyone is free to be themselves,
Yeah.
to live authentically.
I love that.
It's so important.
It really is. That's a great point to end on. Thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into the Hidden Face.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more discussions like this about the books and ideas that shape our world. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
It's a good point. We often talk about these dystopian stories as warnings, right? Like a glimpse into a possible future, one we want to avoid. But what if those dystopian elements, those things we fear, what if they're already here?
Right here.
Yeah, just hidden beneath the surface, kind of like in the Central Hearth.
Ooh, that's a scary thought.
It is.
But I guess it's also a call to action. The Hidden Face, it reminds us to be critical thinkers,
Yeah.
to question authority, to challenge things, and to really fight for a world where everyone has that freedom, the freedom to define who they are.
To live authentically.
Exactly, to be themselves.
Well said.
It's so important.
It really is.
Well, on that note, thank you all so much for joining us on this deep dive into The Hidden Face.
It's been a pleasure.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking discussions about the books and ideas that shape our world.
Until next time.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and of course, keep diving deep.